Hello, this is Ben Payton, and you are listening to The Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, McGoldrickWatchRepairs.com, and Misty Moon Events. For over 60 hours of exclusive The Bill-related content, including reunion highlights, cast and crew commentaries, reaction videos, pilgrimage location videos, off-the-beat bonus podcasts, and much more. Join the investigation from £2.49 a month at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.
Special guest today is a brilliant actor who played one of the most popular CID characters in the Bill's rich history. And right now, you can see him in action on stage at the Greenwich Theatre, where he gives a beautiful performance. I know because I've been lucky enough to see it, and I can highly recommend that you all do the same. Ladies and gents worldwide, you have inundated me with requests, and now I'm thrilled to say the words that Rod Skase is back. Make some noise for the magnificent Iain Fletcher. Iain, welcome to the Bill Podcast.
Thank you. They're making some noise. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
They're hooting their cars up the street as we speak. Yeah, how are you?
I'm very well indeed, and likewise, I've heard lots of lovely things about you over the last few years, and so I was chuffed to have this opportunity to chat to you today. Really.
Well, thank you very much. I'm being brave. I'm very good friends with Greg, and I said to Greg, "Yeah, I'll go on sometime. You know, as long as we can go on together."
Oh,
because we kind of bring the best out of each other, I feel. And I was curious. I mean, I've listened to a few. Russell and Carrie Pearce. We've done something with Carrie Pearce.
That's right.
I mean, two of my colleagues, I used to share a dressing room with Russell after Martin Marquez, who played Danny Pearce. Yeah,
that's right.
He was only there for a year, and I did my very first episode with him.
I must sincerely compliment you on a very tender and truthful performance that you give in the play, and in the wonderful programme. It describes Neville Talbot, who you play so beautifully, and you really captured the essence of the man as he's described in the programme. So my huge compliments to you. I was sat on row C, and you opened the play, and I was like sat directly opposite you, and it was just such a special. I felt very lucky to be there, especially after the last 18 months of lockdown and pandemic, to be in a beautiful theatre, seeing a fantastic production, sat right opposite one of my heroes was a special moment. So thank you.
Oliver, I'm really overwhelmed. I honestly feel really overwhelmed. That's such a lovely thing to say. And thank you. Thank you. I'm really touched. I really feel very, very happy that you came. I had no idea. So that always helps, because I do, when people come in, my partner came in on Tuesday, and I felt nervous. I really did. I felt I was really sort of monitoring everything I was doing, and I didn't. Yeah, it means a lot. And I'll tell you why. It's because I really love playing the role. The play means a lot to me because I was offered the role over a year and a half ago, and because of obvious reasons, the play then stalled. So that was March 20. Oh. And so I've stuck with it and been in close contact with Hugh, who wrote the play, and we've had different creatives come and go for reasons, because of COVID and other commitments and things that couldn't, because not everyone can be sort of committed to the one thing, and different cast members had gone. We did a Zoom first read through on January the 7th, just as I was feeling the symptoms of COVID coming on.
Oh, whoa. Wow.
Like this meeting with you now, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. And so I think, I better get out of my tracksuit, pajama bottoms and stuff, because I've been at home for a few days. And, I'll have a shave and I'll put on a nice shirt, make myself presentable, as I have with you. Oliver. I was putting on this aftershave that my daughter gave me for Christmas, and put it on, looked at it, and I thought, yeah, okay, looking all right, because I'm going to meet with the cast for the first time and sit there, and we all have our own single. And as I was walking down the stairs to the room where I'd set up my computer, I realised, hang on, I can't smell the aftershave. And I went back up and squirted a lot more in my hands and held it over like so. And I just couldn't smell it. I could sense the scorching of my nose hairs from the vapor, but I couldn't smell a thing. And I went downstairs and I thought, right, okay, this is an obvious symptom. And I started to feel throughout the reading of the play, ropier and ropier and ropier. But it was lovely because it was really intense, and all the cast were so gracious and focused and tight in on the project and stuff, because obviously everyone wants to make a good impression, you want to do a good reading, but it was a really lovely thing to do. A couple of the cast members are not with us because they're doing different jobs, but on the whole, the cast was the cast that you saw. So I've had COVID, and I was pretty ill for about 2 weeks, as my partner was as well, but had come away from me for Christmas. We'd already arranged to have our Christmas together before Boris very kindly on the Saturday or Friday before said, well, you can't all actually meet together now, you know. Balliol boy. You know?
Oh, wow. Oh, there's the connect.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's a very emotional experience. And to have, I really hope that I sort of tick the box with the character, because there's something that I've always wanted to play a character who's warm and kindly and benevolent, you know, and with heart, and you know, with a kind of honesty. And it's something that for me as well. This is still very much a bit of a tester for me, whether I still want to be an actor.
Right. Wow. Okay. So
because I'm thinking of retraining as a therapist, and I'd actually had a conversation with Greg Donaldson. I'm trying to remember Proctor's first name. Tom. Yeah. And we had a lovely meeting, and we've really rekindled our friendship in the last year and a half or so. And we've always been very close, because when he came into the show, I actually did I did an episode where he played a villain in it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's
and
magnificent.
I remember making the choice. I don't think I should have done it, when I was miming putting my finger in a bit of cake and going like that, to remind him that when he came in, like not a very bright burglar, he had a look in the fridge and he saw a cheesecake or something, and he took so there was fingerprints on it. What are you doing? But when in the interview scene with him, we did that. It was me and Kerry, because Kerry and I, we did lots of episodes. They really wrote for us, and I'm so fond of Kerry. She was such a fantastic partner in that, as were so many, but particularly because I was really able to display my awful attitude towards WDCs, and I had a real crush on Kerry.
Yeah, well, she spoke very fondly of you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I can quote, I loved playing against his very solid character, and in real life, he's a really lovely, adorable, and gorgeous man.
Oh, well, that's very kind. My goodness, I don't think I've had so much love directed towards me in such a short period of time in my life.
You deserve it, man. I mean, I read on your Mandy profile that you've always, in a very tough business, maintained the faith with acting. And to me, if you're looking for any, that was genuinely a really assured performance. You, for me, it's the only time I've ever seen, and I'm being genuine, an actor on stage give a performance that could translate to the screen at the same time. I mean, the performance I saw was being filmed, and I had the benefit of actually seeing the cameraman to my right, and and it was working on both levels, which is that's an amazing skill.
Oliver, I'm going to have to take you around with me in places and go out, and you come out and talk about me in such a way. It's so kind. I really appreciate what you're saying. I mean, but the thing is, I don't know if I entirely agree with filming plays, but having said that, I was very, very lucky to have made the choice to go and see a National Theatre filmed production of Dark Blue World with Helen McCrory. Now, Helen was at Drama Centre with me, and so in my first year, she was a third year, and I just absolutely was in awe of her. And when you're a first year at Drama Centre, I don't know, Drama Centre, Helen McCrory, John Sim was in my year. I mean, other actors who you know, of course, Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender, Anastasia Hiller, and Colin Firth and Piers Brosnan, they're all Drama Centre, right? And when I heard that Helen had passed away back in, when I think it was April, I was standing on the platform at London Bridge, and it took my legs away. I've actually felt a wobble, and I had to sit down, and I felt very tearful about it. I haven't seen Helen for many years. The last time I saw her actually was when she was doing a play at the Donmar Warehouse, and I was doing the bill. So that is, 20 years ago. And she was such a kind soul and such a wonderful, the real deal.
Yeah.
A would-be Judi Dench or Helen Mirren, or, she was beautiful in a very striking and soulful and painful way. Do you know what I mean? Something
Absolutely.
that, and so doing this role, Neville Talbot, I felt that I want to try and give something back, because it's been a long time for me to have done theatre and straightforward plays, because the bill was a wonderful experience, and it was a training that I didn't have at Drama Centre because we didn't have the facilities. And I would never want to see my early episodes, certainly within the first 6 months, where I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I remember very kindly, Antonio Callaghan, right? He very kindly, after about maybe half a dozen of my episodes being aired, he said, "Iain, do you want to come over to my place? We'll have a little chat about stuff," because it's Drama Centre. And he said, "I just want to, is that all right?" And I said, "Yeah, it's fine, And he went over, and we had a bottle of wine, what have you, and we listened to some music and just sat back, chewed the fat, talked about things, talked about his time at Drama Centre, my time, who we knew in common and stuff. And he just said to me, "Do you mind me saying, I just think your performance, you've really got the makings of a great character in Rod Skase, but he's a bit big. What you're doing is a bit for the stage. It's a little bit telegraphed. It's a bit, just throw it away. Keep the intensity, but throw it away." And it was such, and I felt so grateful to him.
Yeah.
That for him to say to me that he's got this, that, and the other characteristics, but just bring it down. Because I had no training until I was there, apart from the screen test that I did with on the same day as I did with an actor who played a character called Bostock. But we were there. Carl Brinkat, that's right. And the screen test that I did was with Mark Winger. It's crazy. That was crazy. It was like me suddenly being on the set with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, with the cameras, man, he's going to take me through as if I'm going to go through and meet Kurtz, take me through all the skulls hanging down and stuff, because he was so, bless him. And I love Mark. I'm still to speak to Mark. But I really, this is a very long-winded thank you to you and my explanation and where I'm at in my life and what I want to do in my life. And it's ironic. During lockdown, I realized that I am an agnostic atheist, okay? Or atheist, whatever, I'm open to persuasion, but I don't believe, right? And I feel really comfortable with that. And I'll tell you why. It's because I watched a lot of Ricky Gervais being interviewed and Afterlife. And there are lots of people who don't get him, and lots of people absolutely love him. And I've really grown to love him because I realize he has such humanity. And the stuff that he does with Carl Pilkington and of course with Stephen Merchant, it's grown-up stuff. It's really, he's a very clever man who really understands the question of life and death and humanity and kindness and that. And we don't need to have a big book to teach us to be kind, or if we don't, we're going to go somewhere we don't want to go. That's what I believe. And also watching Richard Dawkins and stuff and all of that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people did during lockdown really had to simplify their way of life and really think about and maybe read more or read again and revisit and stuff watching film. I've watched so much film. And then just before setting out big things, I stopped drinking. I don't drink anymore. I stopped back in May. And I remember going back and losing dear Kevin Lloyd and being really close quarters to somebody who was ill, you know. Yeah. And those things, and a lot of things have changed for me. And also I just thought I need to be really clear with this. I need to be really clear again and really able to remember the lines and remember them well and remember them enough. And I just watched a couple. It was dear Ray Ashcroft, right, who I spoke to a few weeks. He's writing the First World War play. Right?
That's right.
Yeah, and I don't know if he can make it down. It's a long way to come, and you know he's old and frail, man. No, I'm joking, but you know, if he doesn't make it down, I'm going to hold against him. I just won't ever see him again in my life. No, but I'm kidding. No, but he said to me, "Have you seen Bill Nye?" He said, "Have you seen his interviews where he is very, very open and very, very straightforward about acting?" And Bill Nye talked about how when he's been sitting with actors in the past and companies and green rooms and stuff, and they were talking about their own method, he's thinking, I don't really have a method. And, you know, and then he said he was, you know, I'm you know, you should just watch the Bill Nye interviews, but it's so kindly, it's so open and real about the craft and what it's about and your own personal method. And he said, if there's any note I could give to any actor, any young actor, is learn your lines as early as you can. And this myth that a lot of actors, young actors, say, I don't like to learn my lines too early because it will set it in stone and then I can't change it. It's well, you shouldn't be an actor if you can't change. And it's just you don't want to do the work. And that's what I tried to do with this. And the thing about doing the Bill, that was a great training for short-term memory learning because you'd have 3 or 4 scripts on a go at any one time. You might be leading one episode and then a major character, major supporting role in 2, and then a couple of scenes here and there where you come in and say somebody in the front office to see you, Sarge, or whatever, you know, the words to that effect. But when you're taking on a play, quite a bit of dialogue, which is easier to learn when you're not having to speak with too much with other people because you're not waiting for cue lines and all that sort of thing. I just thought, I don't want to drink anymore. I really want to sort of approach this and be, you know, because I want to look after myself and find that kind of wisdom with it. And that's really thanks to my experience being talking to other actors. Mark Wingert's been so kind to me in my time.
Yeah.
And Greg and Simon Rouse, who you know, I think is coming to see the play. But I'm still really absolutely chuffed that you came to see the play. Where are you in the world? Where did you come from?
Newmarket, yeah. So yeah, it was like
you came down from Newmarket. So you came down the M11.
That's right. Yeah, and
Dartford.
got the tube from Epping.
Right, okay.
So yeah, parked there and got the tube in and
Epping, yeah, Billy Murray country.
Oh yeah, indeed, yes.
Billy Murray country. Billy's in Epping. You know, see how I'm managing to get all of. I'm managing to name check everybody.
All the legends. You know. Well, while I remember as well, Andrew McIntosh sends his very best to you.
I love Andrew. Yeah,
he spoke very, very highly of you indeed, as everyone has, you know.
Andy Mack. The last time I actually worked with Andy, we did a John Coleshaw episode.
That's right.
I never saw it, you know, and it's probably I don't want to see it.
I asked Andy about that. He said, all I remember is laughing and laughing and laughing with Iain Fletcher.
Obviously, you know, we've lost a few dear hearts from that cast. Colin, Ben Roberts, who was very close to Ray. And of course Kevin, way back 97. I can't believe 1997. I mean, the funny thing is, Kevin Lloyd. I remember when I was at drama school, and you're looking at what scenes to be doing for an exercise or what have you, and we'd look at. There was one particular play, the Faber and Faber, I think it was, publication of What the Butler Saw, Joe Orton, right? And on the back, and as they always do with play scripts, they always put in the first cast where it's performed, the date that it's performed. Okay, and this cast had Kevin Lloyd in it, and on the back cover is Kevin Lloyd naked with a policeman Or no, he doesn't have a policeman, because I'm just thinking of that iconic picture of the football match with the policeman with the guy naked, the long hair and a beard, and the cop's got helmet over his head. And but this one, he's actually on stage naked with holding a policeman's helmet over his private parts and private parts. Anyway, but his private parts. And the irony, I just remember that when I met him, and because we spent so many hours sitting in cop cars, talking and talking. He talked about the Royal Court Theatre and National Theatre and working with Pete Postlethwaite. I mean, these people, Simon Rouse again, I taught, Simon had done Sweet Bird of Youth at the National Theatre with Lauren Bacall. And these guys, that was the thing. That was what was such a privilege, such a treat going into the bill. So I was working with guys who had been doing loads of quality theatre, and Simon and Kevin and Sean Scott, they had such kind of gravitas, and they were the real deal. And I learned so much from those guys. And Simon and I, we had such a laugh, and probably within the year of me working, we became very good friends and went on a couple of crazy adventures together. We went to Ireland, went to Cork, and just long weekends and things. And we'd go to Twickenham, because he lives in Twickenham, and we'd go and see a bit of rugby and stuff, and just that's what was lovely about it, is I did 3 years at fantastic drama school, then a good couple of years learning at the Bill, and then really starting to relax into it. And then I went off to Australia and did a play with Britt Eklund in Brisbane. And it was, and I'm going to see her. I spoke to her the other day, actually. She's doing a play which will be down in Brighton. It's a little tour. I'm going to go down and see her. And she's now in contact with my partner, who's Swedish. And I hadn't spoken to Britt for about 10 years, actually. No, not that long, probably about 7 years. And because I did Mamma Mia in the West End for 2 years, as Stephen Beckett is doing it currently. I played Sam, the Piers Brosnan role. Nice. And everyone said, well, it was obvious who you play. But but what was I going to say? Britt, she came to see it. She came to see Mamma because she knows those guys. She knows Benny and Bjorn, and because Sweden only has about 50 people living in it. No, but I contacted her and said, "God, help me, Britt. I'm dating this mad Swede. I need some advice." I spoke to her the other day, and I just saw that she went to the Bond premiere. Have you seen the Bond film?
I have. Have you?
Yeah. Actually, Mark Kermode hit the nail on the head. He said it was the first Bond film that he saw that really had a sense of dread throughout. That real ominous thing that actually took it back to, well, not the first. I mean, a certain film, maybe the Connery and the George Lazenby, they had a kind of a feeling of something creeping up on you all the way through it, not just something that, and I love Roger Moore. And that's one of the things I really regret, actually, is that Britt actually invited me to go to the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre about 5 years ago. I think it was about the time that I contacted her saying, I've just met Ava. She said, I'm going to go to an audience with Roger Moore in Guildford. Would you like to come? And I just thought, you're going to meet him, aren't you? And I just thought, I don't know if I could meet. I don't know if I would feel confident. I wasn't working at that point, and I didn't really feel that I'd have that much to say. I'd be suddenly, I'm standing there, Britt Eklund, this icon, let alone meeting Roger Moore. I mean, I wish I had, because, what?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've since recently learned he was a massive Bill fan, Roger Moore.
Oh.
Yeah. He met, because Graham Cole used to do a bit of extra work on the movies, and he saw him at a charity do many years later while the Bill was still on, and he asked Graham, look, do you think you can get me a part? And
oh no, really?
Graham was like, well, what would he have played? And he didn't mention it. I'm like, how awesome would that have been?
It wouldn't have been that. Well, it would have been crazy. It wouldn't have been that. I mean, we had Leslie Phillips do an episode. I did a lovely episode that I didn't actually work with him, but I was very proud to be in an episode that Leslie Phillips was in. Ding dong. Yeah. And my episode was me getting information from a gangster's mole played by Carol Royal. What makes me laugh is that we're kind of getting it together, right? And I'm sort of overstepping my, And then she says, I go and get a drink, while she's swooning on the bed. And I was thinking, who goes and gets a bottle of whiskey before getting down around about 2:00 in the afternoon? Well, Rod Skase would, clearly. And then when I went into the bedroom, she was fast asleep, Kelsey. But, because we were drinking whiskey. I know it's a good idea. Let's have some whiskey on, if you want to, have a liaison with this beautiful gangster tomorrow. But, drink some whiskey. Really good advice. Maybe just a light ale. No. But what was I talking about? I don't know. Ask me something.
Well, you were saying how you were learning from the likes of Simon and Sean and Ray, and like right now in Into Battle, you've got a fantastic young cast around you with some of whom are making their professional debut, which is fantastic, and they're all so talented. But I wonder if that must have been great, especially after the last 18 months for you, to be part of a company again, but also to be with people who are just starting out, and they, I guess, and I would hope, look up to you and see all your experience that they can draw on.
Yeah. On the first day, 5 weeks ago, thereabouts, on the 7th of September, because I'd met a few of them, doing the Zoom back in January, I already felt kind of connected with them, and it was great that I knew that all of these guys were still involved in it, and so we all had this kind of vested interest, and because it's a new writing, and the production, in all honesty, hasn't been without its ups and downs and conflicts here and there, but through conflict creates good stuff. It being a new piece, no one's ever played these roles before, and it's a decent story. I felt really comfortable and really safe leading up to this. I've been thinking, this is going to be a real kind of test to see if I want to do this anymore. And those guys, and Molly and Anna, so Joe and Nick and Alex and Gabriel and Molly, Anna and Ellie, our lovely director, there's been nothing but kindness and really lovely, positive enthusiasm, without any of that kind of shoulder-swinging sort of macho kind of cynicism. It's all too much, that kind of thing. It's a different world now, because I haven't been on stage for. I did a rehearsed reading, which was lovely, at the other palace in Victoria, a Norwegian production, sort of musical play, not a musical, but a play with music song. And I did that, and that was lovely to do. But I ain't really looking for it. I'm not really that ambitious as an actor, I don't think. But I love doing it. And there are certain scenes in that which I just have become so easy. And I feel very confirmed with it, or firm with it, or something. It doesn't feel... I still feel a bit nervous before going on stage doing it. And Wednesday I did. So I'm glad that maybe I tick boxes, because I was thinking, I'm not enjoying these mics around my ears and stuff, because I had to keep putting it on my ear. I don't know if you noticed, but But it reminded me actually of Bill Nye saying, know your lines, and also don't, you can go on scratching your nose. So he used to sort of stand and get himself to attention and get ready to walk on. And Judi Dench said to him, just walk on stage, scratch your ear if you want to, or cough, or adjust your trousers, or whatever it is.
You did a little something with your thumb, I noticed.
Well, I tell you what, it's because my cousin was in. I have to tell. Now you've noticed it, I have to tell you. We just before we were we had a little bit of dinner before he came in, before the play. I said to him, I'm a bit nervous about doing this in front of you. And he said, oh, don't, come on, how are you going to loosen up? I said, no. He said, come on, let's play thumb wars. You know thumb wars?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare thumb war. Bow. You have to bow. That's why I taught my children. Otherwise, it's invalid.
Right, okay.
And he said, well, you got big thumbs, you got long thumbs. And he really got his other thumb involved and crushed my thumb down. I said, how are we doing? Really hurt my thumb, Charlie. I need that for a particular scene. And that, at the end of the scene, I did something like that, didn't I? And that was me just at the end, just to maybe, you noticed it. I don't know if he noticed it. I have to say, because he's gone, obviously. He's not with me all the time. Are you, Charlie?
Hello, this is Ben Payton, and you have been listening to the Bill Podcast. Produced and presented by Oliver Crocker, with special thanks to Iain Fletcher. Co-produced by Ben Adams, Sarah Kuiper, Malcolm McLeod, Alex Mockler, Laura Pinney-Fay, and Simon Wolfe. Executive produced by Ben Ashmore, Daniel Christopher, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Paul Dunn, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Luke Hegarty, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Simon McGoldrick, Lucy McNeil, Gary Moncur, Stuart and Jen Morris, Claire Norbury, Justin Pitt, Tom Sherrington, Angel Stannard, Patrick Stratford, Michael Weil and Sarah Wendt. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, McGoldrickWatchRepairs.com and Misty Moon Events. For over 60 hours of exclusive The Bill-related content, including reunion highlights, reaction videos, cast and crew commentaries, pilgrimage location videos, off-the-beat bonus podcasts, and much more, join the investigation from £2.49 a month at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.